Have you ever stood in a moment where all hope seemed gone, where the final chapter felt already written? Imagine hearing the sound of mourning, the cries of broken hearts, the smell of burial spices filling the air, yet in that very place, life itself walks in. This is the story of Lazarus, a story where death meets the voice of the one who commands eternity. The town of Bethany lay just 2 miles from Jerusalem, nestled in the quiet hills. It was the home of 3 siblings, Mary, Martha, and their brother Lazarus. They were not strangers to Jesus. They were his close friends, his family in spirit. Their home was a place of warmth and welcome, where meals were shared and conversations lingered long into the night. But now that house was filled with silence and sorrow. Lazarus had fallen ill. Not just a fever, not just a passing sickness. His body weakened, his breath shallow, his eyes dim. The sisters, desperate and afraid, sent word to the only one who could help. "Lord, the one you love is sick." They didn't even need to say his name. Jesus would know. This wasn't a stranger crying out from the crowd. This was family. They believed that if Jesus came quickly, Lazarus would be healed. But when the message reached him, Jesus did something that shocked everyone. He stayed. 2 days passed. 2 days of silence. 2 days of unanswered prayers. 2 days while death crept closer and closer to the man he loved. And then the inevitable happened. Lazarus died. The sisters' world crumbled. The wails of mourners filled the streets. Neighbors gathered with baskets of bread and jars of wine, trying to comfort the grieving family. The body was wrapped in linen and placed in a tomb cut into the hillside, sealed by a heavy stone. To them, it was finished. And then on the 4th day, when all hope was buried with him, Jesus finally came. The road to Bethany was long and dusty. His disciples walked beside him, whispering nervously. Some said, "Why return here? The leaders in Jerusalem want to stone you." But Jesus' face was set. He told them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I go to wake him." They didn't understand. "Lord, if he sleeps, he will recover." Then he looked at them with eyes that pierced straight into their fear. "Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him." When Martha heard Jesus was approaching, she ran out to meet him. Her face was streaked with tears, her voice cracked with grief. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Can you hear the mixture of faith and heartbreak in those words? She believed in his power, but now it was too late. Or so she thought. Jesus looked at her with a calm strength. "Your brother will rise again." "Yes, Lord," she whispered. "I know he will rise in the resurrection at the last day." But then Jesus spoke words that shook the ground of human history. "I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he dies, yet shall he live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die." Do you believe this? Martha's tears fell harder, but now they mingled with a flicker of hope. "Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God." She turned back to the house, calling for Mary. Mary came quickly, and when she saw him, she fell at his feet, sobbing, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." The crowd of mourners followed, their voices rising in a chorus of grief. And in that moment, the heart of God was revealed. Jesus wept. Not a distant, untouchable God, not a stone-faced miracle worker. He wept with them. He felt their pain, their loss, their sorrow. His tears fell to the ground, mingling with theirs. And yet, behind those tears, a holy fire was rising. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. They led him to the tomb. The stone loomed large, sealing in death. The crowd whispered, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind also have kept this man from dying?" Jesus stood before the tomb. His chest rose with deep breath, his eyes lifted toward heaven. "Take away the stone," he commanded. Gasps filled the air. Martha stepped forward quickly, shaking her head. "Lord, by now there is a stench. He has been dead 4 days. 4 days, long enough for the body to decay, long enough for hope to rot with it." But Jesus turned to her and said, "Did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God?" Reluctantly, the men stepped forward. Their hands pressed against the cold stone. With grunts and shouts, they rolled it aside. The smell of death wafted into the air. Silence fell. Jesus lifted his eyes. "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I know that you always hear me, but I say this for the sake of those standing here, that they may believe you sent me." Then he cried out with a voice that shook the air like thunder, "Lazarus, come out!" The crowd froze. The birds stilled. The world seemed to hold its breath, and then movement. Out of the shadows of the tomb, a figure appeared. Wrapped in linen, his face covered, his steps stumbling. The impossible stood before them. "It's him," someone screamed. "It's Lazarus." "Unbind him," Jesus said, "and let him go." Hands rushed forward. They tore off the burial cloths, unwrapped the strips of linen. And there he stood alive, breathing, blinking in the sunlight. The weeping turned to shouting. Mourning turned to dancing. Despair turned to awe. Life had walked into death's domain and death lost. But make no mistake, this wasn't just about Lazarus. This was a foreshadow, a sign pointing forward to another tomb, another stone, another morning where the world would hear the news that death itself had been defeated. Friends, the story of Lazarus is more than a miracle in a small village 2,000 years ago. It is a promise that when hope seems buried, when prayers feel unanswered, when everything smells of decay and defeat, God is not finished. He weeps with us in our sorrow, but he also stands with authority over the grave. The question Jesus asked Martha is the same question he asks you today. Do you believe this? Because if you do, then death is not the end. Grief does not have the final word. His life overcomes. So now I ask you, if you had stood at that tomb watching death turn into life, what would you have believed? What choice would you have made? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And if this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful Bible stories and share this video with someone who needs encouragement today. Because sometimes the miracle you're waiting for is closer than you think.